Okay, we will get started. Next session is latest trends in content distribution and management using blockchain technology. Welcome to the panel session. First, I'd like to introduce our panelists. Bitflyer Blockchain Inc. CEO, Mr. Yuzo Kano. TART CEO, Mr. Toshiaki Takase. ABEX Technologies General Manager, CEO, Mr. Asahi Iwanaga. And the moderator today is Director, Media and Content Industry Division, Commerce and Information Policy Bureau, METI, Ms. Mika Takagi. Ms. Takagi, over to you. The floor is yours. Viewers, hello. My name is Takagi with Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. We are going to spend about 40 minutes to discuss latest trend in content distribution and management using blockchain technology with 3 speakers. The theme of this session is to do with blockchain that includes a smartphone, smart payment, and others. But with distribution, what kind of impact that content industry is going to see with blockchain? With this theme, Ministry of Economy and Trade and Industry has offered grant to POC tests. And 3 speakers with us today took part in POC tests last year. Okay, once again, I'd like to introduce our speakers. From the list, we have Mr. Iwanaga with ABEX Technology. Next to him is Mr. Kano with Bitflyer Blockchain. And this is Takase, Mr. Takase with TART. Thank you for joining us. So today, as I said, those 3 companies took part in POC tests. So I'd like to ask one by one, starting from Iwanaga-san, to share what they have done. And we are going to make this session interactive to discuss opportunities and possibility of businesses and challenges in terms of technology and regulation. Iwanaga-san, thank you. Okay, I'm going to use that slide. Okay, so I'd like to discuss our response, our company's response to copyright in the digital age. First, I'd like to share the challenges that we believe that we are facing amid digitalization. I think there is a demand to sectionize or split into pieces for different purposes. For example, promotional video. We do have a lot of promotional videos, and we could split into different data set for voice and motion and others. And we can sell and trade each data set thanks to the advancement of AI and digitalization. But if we try to sell, the challenge that we have to address is to do with patent. When it comes to motion data, that's not protected by copyright. Although there are demands in market, how can we make the best use of the data set with the use of blockchain so that we can make this business and monetize this? So that's the concept of thinking we had. So let me talk about new business opportunities and challenges. There are things that people did not think that there are some values such as anime or promotional video. The final products have been monetized, but working process had no value in the past, but they do actually have value. With UGC or user-generated contents are on the rise. So I think each individual could monetize UGC. But as I said, we have to address copyright issue. That's one of the challenges that we have to address. So with that, I'd like to share what we did with JLOT. The slide explains what we have done in the past, for example. So digital asset is stored in what we call asset bank.
And by using that, since we are talking about application, so if you are going to distribute it as avatar, then background data and motion data, and also music. So those are used and combined, and when individual makes the distribution, then sales generated actually partially will be distributed to the creator of the content. So that's part of the JLOT initiative. What we are aiming to achieve in the future is this. It's part of our company introduction, but entertainment and technology combined together. So last year, we've set up a firm on this theme, and in the future, now users will create creatives. So using UGC tool, we allow users to create animation and also create new music through music synthesis tool, and also the story creation tool are being developed right now. And in this situation, the platform for distribution will help individuals monetize their ideas. So such platform is rare these days. So as we try to realize that platform, the challenge is the small size of transaction. But if we broaden this, then the contents or quantity gets too big. So in the management of licensing, that is a tough challenge. So blockchain to be used as digital infrastructure to be used for the management of the distribution and also smart contract as well as the distribution. Through that, individuals, we believe, could be helped by us. So that is the intention of the establishment of the firm. Thank you very much. So before starting this initiative, the challenge we perceived was as follows. Some music became popular because the dance that came with that was popular. So that dancer, some argued, should receive part of the revenue. So if the revenue generating content can be subdivided, then it will become possible to share the revenue among stakeholders. Next, Mr. Takase, please. Sorry, Mr. Kano. Thank you. I'm Kano from Bitflyer. At our firm, we are working on Honyaku Honya Quest. This is a decentralized media which we've conducted POC on, based upon blockchain. Now, distributed type translation platform is what we have named this initiative. So, from individual to individual, where C2C is the world that we are envisioning by utilizing blockchain. So, token and distributed environment could be utilized so that creators can be active on their own and receive fee from consumers by providing services. So, in that kind of environment, there will be disintermediation, and we believe that is the ideal world. But as a preliminary step to that vision, token is received for the translation services, and we are now trying to see how much the ecosystem can be expanded. Now, this is how it works. So, anime is the name of media. So, what it does is as follows. So Japanese animations translated to English is provided there. So if we use a regular translator to translate the animation into English or any other language, then the nature or characteristics of the characters are lost oftentimes. So So by letting anime fans translate, then oftentimes the essence of the animation kept alive. So there's translator who translate Japanese into English, and there are many fans of Japanese animations overseas. So that services, translation service is provided on blockchain, and token is provided to the translator. Then translators are ranked, and translation ecosystem we believed would work. So just like a Dragon Quest game, just like playing game, the translator can enjoy the translation since they have the feel of playing game themselves. So now we see a steady growth in this service. Already 3,500 articles have been translated, and it's worth 7.7 million words. And there have been 6,000 applicants to work as a translator, and 120 of them have been certified as a translator. And after translation, there are reviewers who review the quality of translation. So that system or mechanism is secured on the system. So now 120 people are working as licensed translator for this service. But as a preliminary stage, we are conducting various discussions. Now, the challenges we have as follows. First, we have excessive number of applicants who want to be translators. So there is a surplus of wannabe translators, and there is a shortage of clients. And second challenge is how we can secure the quality of translation, because important thing is to keep alive the essence of the story of anime and characteristics of the figures in the animation have to be kept alive as well. So that's another hurdle to overcome. The third challenge is the realization of token economy based on Hon token. So in the new world, in addition to the figure or gift cards, some appreciation and applause could be combined. So that is the praise that we are envisioning in the new world. But if there is no monetary incentive, then economics won't work. So in order not to let this become a simple or mere translation, we are trying to come up with some mechanism that will motivate translators, and at the same time we are in search of social significance in this initiative. That's all. Thank you. Mr. Kano, thank you very much. 10 years ago, Cool Japan campaign was launched, and I was part of that initiative. And back then, contents of Japan was not intended to be exported, but was intended to be discovered by people outside of Japan. So some kind of motivation for discovery and the reward system, somehow, if they could be placed on the blockchain, then it would have the potential. Thank you. Next, Mr. Takase from TART. I'm Takase from TART. At our firm, what we are doing is that we are developing the distribution platform for e-books, and we have conducted POC. And what we have done is as follows. So the cartoon authors, writers now use our distribution platform. The primary sales channel is a primary channel, and the users buy the book, and the users can sell the secondary ebook, and the sold e-books can be resold to another user. So the second-hand e-books sales themselves can be partially returned to the author or the cartoonist. And taking a step further, the right to take the sales is used as the receivables, and the receivables themselves can be traded. So the e-books can be traded in the secondary market, and every time transaction happens, right holders, in addition to the writers of the cartoons, or fans or investors, whoever holds the right can participate in the economics. So the distribution of receivables is something we are promoting as well. So digital contents and the associated rights can be centrally managed on blockchain, and at the same time, the distribution happens automatically and the flow of money is made automatic. At the same time, this system ensures the flow of revenue or fee back to right holders. Now, what we are doing is this. The Kindle and other e-book readers are downloaded by users, and they buy e-books, and within the app they can also sell their e-book. Since we are talking about e-book readers, so users can view the books that are out there, and what's interesting is they can upload their review and comments. So to that particular e-book comes with the comments. So that with comments combined, the unique content can be created. So our hypothesis is that in the secondary market, second-hand digital contents could have added value and may have premium price. In that sense, digital content traded online in a free manner is something we would like to accomplish in our initiative. Thank you. Thank you very much. So content is being digitized, and there is concern about copies, dead copy, concerned about dead copy, but rather than letting the e-book become dead copy, but having it gain added value. That is an interesting viewpoint. Now let us move on to interactive dialogue. So based upon introductions of the three firms, now what we would like to do is to think about what kind of challenges we face as we consider commercialization. So let us start with Mr. Iwanaga. Thank you. So there are several challenges, but the content that have been created so far, when they are digitized and placed on distribution platform and monetized, there are many people who do not have that awareness. But technology is advancing, so XR or VR, and in those spheres, the data gets to gain value. So that's part of the entire process. So the right holders, so they are now looking at things at the level of content, but if they can go down to a more detailed level, subdivided content, then they could accelerate the monetization. So if they can notice that, then there will be a bigger potential. Okay, so that's a hidden needs. It's a key point, especially in the world of content. There is materialized needs that are needs that come from the existing right holders, but in the world where everyone can create their own creatives and share that, then there's going to be the rights that's distributed. But from the viewpoint of UGC, there is huge potential there. Mr. Kano, any challenge in terms of commercialization? So firstly, blockchain, 7 years ago, at our firm, we started blockchain-related business. So we do not have technical issue with blockchain. However, when it comes to marketing, we still have a challenge. So how we sell the services to client is difficult. In the world of translation, one word is price, 7 yen, 3 yen, or 10 yen. And there is an existing market that comes with pricing for translation. So this service is not a mere translation service, because if we do so, then there's going to be price competition and the service fee is going to be so inexpensive. So what we want to do is not to provide mere translation, but to have a fan a big fan do the translation on their own. And another thing, what to do with token, we still do not have final conclusion whether we can list the token or should we even do that. So there's a different opinion. So the monetary value, should such value be attached, and what is the impact on the ecosystem? There are many uncertain factors that we have not been able to clarify, so we are continuing with the discussion. Thank you very much. So the linkage to the statutory or fiat currency, so that aspect later on could be looked at when we talk about the use of blockchain. So Mr. Takase, any challenge?
So in terms of copyright, the current regulations, there are areas that are not combined to that. So for the publisher or for those who are the right holders of certain concern. And as a business, when deploying this, we have to be able to resolve that 100% or else it's going to be hard to deploy. And secondly, the blockchain technology itself, there are some concerns I think a lot of people do have. And that's what I mean is that in virtual currencies, people have some negative images is what the business managers have. I've realized that through conversations. And so I want to be able to explain properly, accurately as to that this is the world by resolving these anxieties. Thank you very much. In the book business, conventionally, the business structure is very clear and you have these kind of concerns. So in the public chain, I think it was also said, but the blockchain has various aspects. But as the content department, the reason why we started this POC is that in the function of blockchain, there are the smart contract and micropayment, and through that, there was UGC that was discussed earlier on, but small payment settlement can be made automatically and that there is no fraud to that, I think is the key. And that's why we decided to conduct this POC. So the negative image towards the blockchain exists. And actually you are operating this using blockchain. And as the challenges of operation, can you let us know, Mr. Iwanaga? So this time around, in private chain, we conducted the POC. And going forward, in the private, whether we are going to do that or whether we're going to make this public, I think we have to really decide on the rule. That's going to be the big challenge. So deciding on the rule means that how. So when you register once, if you can't overwrite that, and if there are some mistakes, there are such small things too regarding the license or the money. So the operation rules, whether if you're going to do that private, you can decide and make the decisions at your company. But when it comes to microtransactions also, it might be better that you want to do that in a consortium. So I think, you have to think about, you have to come up with an agreement which each companies can decide on what to do. So blockchain, you said that it's less likely to have a fraud, but I think there's also the issue of being able to change the rule. I think it really depends on the operation. So how you're going to do the operation. So in terms, if it becomes a public chain, it becomes harder. Because there are many, many people related, it just means it becomes more complex, and the strategic matter of each company, whether it's the right thing for everybody to do it together, I think those kind of discussions will come and arise. I see. So what about you, Mr. Kano? So at our company, we have a private blockchain, and we developed Miyabi, and this time around we're using that. And Miyabi itself is a semi-public or is a hybrid blockchain that can be used. So with the design architecture, it means that it can have a computer by many people, which is called a node. And whether that should be conducted or not, I think is still a discussion, a separate discussion. Mainly the blockchain technology itself and those that are not, which I mean the value-added technology, I think it can be divided two. When we Dragon Quest or how to make the screen is the existing technology, and the development man-hour does take time. And the expense, whether through marketing that pays, whether it pays as a business, is one of the challenges. And whether the blockchain is more easy to come along to innovate is because you're able to make a token and you have a use case that prohibits probe. Especially Miyabi is for the enterprise, so it's like large companies and large financial institutions. So it's something that has to continue all the time. You cannot make any probes, so it's high function, high precision. But this time, the use case was much more eased. It's like translations. So it's like the goodness about the blockchain is it's not the use case that has these advantages. So then it becomes the discussion on whether blockchain needs to be used. But at least to issue a token itself, I think that there is advantage using blockchain. So what happens when we are listed? We tend to have that discussion, but I think that's a very, very different talk. The ecosystem itself, that changes everything. If you do everything for being listed, the motivation changes, and whether that should be the right aim is a fundamental thing. So I think that also needs to be reviewed. Thank you. So when you conduct POC, I've seen the UI, and I thought that it was like Dragon Quest, and it looked very, very exciting. So the blockchain technology, so even though it's hard for a newcomer, but for somebody who is using that, you are able to participate, without having to think that it's a blockchain. So blockchain technology is that from the end users is something that you cannot really understand or see because there are things that are happening at the back. But from the user perspective, the user experience is just like it's not so different from a normal application. So for other companies, when they try to do something using blockchain, they can do that. Is that what you mean? Yeah. Understood. So, Mr. Takase? So we have this e-stadium, which is called a public blockchain, where we develop our business. So the reason why we do that is because in an open internet world, to be able to freely distribute the content, that's what we wanted to do. And that's like going to the store and buying a manga and read that, and to share that with your friends at school or with your family and sell that at a used market. So there are various interactions. And if that is monitored by a particular singular company, but the user who purchased that, things changes. What I mean is that I want that to occur on internet. So if the specific company manages, rather than that, that's not a bad thing, of course, but that's very good. But what I'm trying to say is that the direction we want to move forward is that we want to have a protocol where everybody can do. That's the kind of protocol we want to provide. And upon there, the contents can kind of freely come along. I think that will be a very interesting future. But on the other hand, as Mr. Takase said, as an experience by utilizing public, the user will know that they are using a blockchain. Whether the processing is low or whether it costs some fee, you're able to visualize that. And I think there is some difficulties in understanding that, and that is one of the challenges. Thank you. So in terms of the world of copyright, in principle, things are done one by one. But if it's a centralized control, the cost reduces, so you have that kind of framework. But if it's decentralized, the processing, the cost increases from one perspective. So it's not something that I can understand with my intuition, but whether it be public or whether private, you are all conducting POCs differently, so and there are merit and demerits in both cases. So as I just touched upon, The blockchain can be for financial institutions and is utilized in various areas, and it's been a decade since it came to today's world. And even though it is receiving focus in contents, but companies that are utilizing this as a blockchain where the general public can participate, there aren't such much examples, whether it be the legal or whether it be the practice of the business, the copyright law or the copyright business. In relation to that, whether there are any challenges, can you let us know? What about you, Iwanaga-san? In terms of the Copyright Act, we have to comply with the laws and regulations. However, in terms of the business perspective, the small microtransactions, so for example, one thing, the back end, the avatar and the motion, when you combine that and when you create the final output and imagination, and in that, whether there is an exchange of money, if it's a legal money, legal cash, that might become a bottleneck. So when I think about that at business, when I think about the legal cash, whilst I know that you have to do that, but in the intermediate, it might be a gadget token utilizing that and try to speed up the process and the final product. And when you sell that, then you use the legal currency. So in terms of the digital, the fact that we are selling digital, if we use a legal currency, in other words, if we do bank payments, that might become bottleneck. So whether the legal currency and the token, there is no answer yet, but I think we have to come to see that that can be utilized and business without slowing down the speed, I think is one of the challenges that we do have. Thank you. So the token economy that you're talking about, and recently there are currencies within the game, so you don't have to do the payment or settlement each time, and the platformer who have such an economy will be advantageous in business, might be the case. So Kano-san, so from the copyright, the blockchain, I think is very good. So the character, as there are many characters, the conventional systems, so we have a centralized copyright management, and then you have many parties around that, but that's not the case. But the blockchain itself, data is always correct. So if that is the case, various data, when it transfers to another person, you don't have to check that. And what can be conducted through that is that, for example, the copyright is sold or bought. And for example, the copyright management of Beatles, the Michael Jackson has. So if US, this is very, very simple. And it's very easy to buy and sell. But in the case of Japan, the drama of the television, when it becomes the copyright, everything becomes a copyright and it's no longer traceable, is what I've heard. So for these things, whether it be blockchain, for the person who comes or the copyright or the person who creates that content, we take the acceptance. How we're going to distribute the monetize, you able to decentralize, manage that. So I do repeat, but there are many characters. The complex are very complex. These things can be solved utilizing blockchain. And in the secondary distribution, which the ebook was raised, but such more complex music or videos or televisions, these things, we have contents for the past 60 years in television. These can be secondarily used and can be distributed back to the users, and then also that be contributed back to the copyright holder, I think, can be performed through blockchain. I think that's very, very important. So that means that the past things, this can, how do you apply that to the past things? So first of all, you have to see who the copyright holder is. And when this is unclear, one of the challenges is what to do. But at least if you know who the copyright holder is and there is a drama and there's 100 person there, but even if you don't know the contact person, you're able to get the acceptance. I want to purchase this content for 1 million yen, and I want to purchase the broadcasting for 50 million yen. And if everybody accepts or not, but you're able to take this acceptance and systematically you're able to purchase that and to stream that. I think you can make that. Thank you. So, Mr. Takase? In terms of the institutional issues, the laws definition, I think, is still behind. So, for example, in terms of e-books, when you try to buy and sell, when you register that with us, and if a third-party store, if that is sold, or if that is read on a reader that is managed by a third party, the smart contract that is conducted that, but the contract, who is the parties of the contract is conducted through the system. So if there is some monetized defects or the contents cannot be seen, when these issues arise, whose responsibility is supplemented is a difficult issue. And the fact, I think it becomes that you have a contract with a system and how you think about that, I think, is a difficult issue. Yes. In terms of the private chain, if you have a standard approval and say that to do that within that group, but if you want to do that in the public chain and the distribution contents go outside, what to do is the challenge.
Well, when I had an opportunity to speak to legal expert, they were saying that the blockchain is very useful, but if everything becomes digital, they were saying that there are still things to be done, legally speaking. So, for example, when you insert a coin and buy drink from vending machine, everything is done automatically. But you agree on paying, so you don't really have to sign anything. But once you develop contents and release contents and get money, I think there are a lot of opportunities and potentials. So far, we have discussed various topics, but we have 3 more minutes to go. So to wrap up, can you share a few words with us, to viewers? One by one, please. Okay? So the contents that we have today could be split into pieces or combine contents into one, and that's, I think, can be monetized. I think that's a big deal. And then if we can leverage blockchain, right holders need to understand what we are trying to do. I think that's, most important thing that we have to focus on today. Thank you. Kano-san. Well, I think C2C market is very interesting. I think creators should enjoy benefits. There are consumers and there are creators. And if we put those together, there should be something interesting. In Japan, I think we are advanced in terms of blockchain technology. So we do have blockchain use cases and we should share them. And I think the government should make blockchain a national strategy. Takase-san? Well, we would like to extend support to make sure that creators can enjoy sustainability. To that end, we use blockchain to develop blockchain and also monetize rights. With use of blockchain, I think there are more options that we can enjoy. So that's something that we would like to work together. So Kano-san, you mentioned about C2C, but C2C could stand for creator to consumer. Anyone can be creator, anyone can be consumer, whether it's money or economy. I think that's something that we can leverage in the future. All right, time is up. Thank you very much. Okay, we will close the session. Latest trend in content distribution and management using blockchain technology. speakers. Thank you so much. Next session will start at 3 p.m. Thank you.